Tell me anything and everything. So we can start from, what is Blue Lotus?
What is Blue Lotus? Blue Lotus is an ancient flower from ancient Egypt, and it used to grow so much in the Nile River, and only the priests and the pharaohs had access to drink like this elixir, this magic potion of the Blue Lotus flower they would make, and no one else had access to that.
So what kind of energy should the audience be expecting?
In yogic philosophy and in Buddhist philosophy, they're always talking about how if there's no mud, there's no lotus. And mud is also representing the human dimension, the challenges that we go through in perceiving and like pushing ourselves to break through the mud, to get into the air, to then blossom. This bag will probably produce around 20 to 30 bottles of that size only. This is half a kilo of, and you can just open this and have a smell and you'll know what I read.
Guys, this is Blue Lotus. How do we bring back to their essence through Blue Lotus ceremonies?
This is where meditation and Blue Lotus come together to provide introspection, deep self-reflection. A lot of people have trouble meditating. A lot of people have trouble just sitting still. They think they have to wear something, listen to something, do something, chant something, and they miss the point. They try it once or twice and they're like, what's this meditation?
So maybe if I have Blue Lotus and then I set an intention on, for example, on guiding me through life circumstances, it will do so. So namaste, hero.
Namaste, namaste,
Yeah.
brother Mahdi.
You're the hero for today, so that's why hero.
Amazing, amazing, I love
So
it.
I wanted to start with something really amazing. I wanted to talk about, as most people right now these days are suffering with anxiety and stress, but what if I told them that there was one person who could do that naturally, is Ali,
Ah, thank you, thank you.
with his Blue Lotus ceremony, his expertise in that. So I welcome you here on the Namaste Hero podcast, and super happy to have you here. Super excited to get so much of information about your home place and how the origin of Blue Lotus, everything. So tell me anything and everything. So we can start from, what is Blue Lotus?
What is Blue Lotus? Blue Lotus is an ancient flower from ancient Egypt, and it used to grow so much in the Nile River. And they used to take this Blue Lotus flower, the ancient Egyptians, and use it for their own rituals and ceremonies in their temples. And only the priests and the pharaohs had access to drink like this elixir, this magic potion of the Blue Lotus flower they would make, and no one else had access to that. And so now in modern times, we are having more access to it, and one of my roles with the Blue Lotus flower is to bring this magic back into common people, which helps with anxiety, stress, overthinking, and so many different.
Wow, this is super interesting. And when was this age when you came across Blue Lotus?
About 4 years ago.
4 years ago?
Yeah, 4 years ago, really, the flower just called upon me, just said like, you need to take me now, and you need to start making something out of me. And so without knowing anything, without having no experience before, without meeting anyone else who does what I do now, I started to alchemize, started to mix things with the Blue Lotus and testing on myself. And after I started to feel the benefits of the Blue Lotus, I started to share with friends, family, and then I was just like, okay, this definitely works. And then I started to share it to the public.
Wow, that's amazing. That's the best experiment you could do is on yourself.
Always, always.
That's great. And so where was this experience? Was it back in your home country, Egypt?
It was back in Bali.
Bali?
Yeah, it was in Bali. And
Nice.
I have past lives in Egypt, but my roots are Middle Eastern, mixed Middle Eastern. I was born in Abu Dhabi, my parents are Palestinian, and my roots go like great-great-great-grandfathers go in different places in the Middle East. So, and I always say, everybody's gone through Egypt.
For sure.
Everybody's gone through Egypt at one point, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So I see a lot of people who are watching this, they usually have so many thoughts about when you talked about Blue Lotus as in a plant. So they usually compare it with ayahuasca or some other medicine.
Yeah.
So if you are coming on that topic, how is it different from that?
The way I explain it to people is when you begin to venture into plant medicine world, or things like a lot of people now are going these trips and taking lots of ayahuasca and doing many ceremonies in different places. And when they ask me about the Blue Lotus, I always give them the example of, when you look at a lotus flower, what do you see? What do you see when you see mud, a stem, and a flower in the middle of the air? What do you see? Compared to mushrooms on like cow dung, or mushrooms on like dead wood, or ayahuasca vine deep in the jungle, wrapped around a tree, and all these medicines, when you look at them, all these plants, when you look at them, you have to see what environment are they growing in, and what is their color, what is it that their physical transformation is. Because when you look at it that way, the physical transformation of this plant is going to tell you what kind of energy it is.
Exactly.
So
what kind of energy should the audience be expecting?
The Blue Lotus. So when you look at the Blue Lotus flower and you see this beautiful flower coming out of the water in the middle of the air, just blossoming towards the sun. It needs sunlight to actually blossom. If there's no sun, it stays closed. It's unlike any other plant.
Wow.
Unlike any other flower. And when this blossoming is happening, you get the most fragrant perfume, which is also not like other plants. Mushrooms doesn't really have a smell, a fragrant perfume. Ayahuasca doesn't really has a fragrant perfume. So when you take the Blue Lotus, it symbolizes these properties of being light in the air, perfume with the sense of like cosmic heaven.
Amazing.
So when you take that, that's what it does. It gives you this lightness. It gives you this alleviation, elevation of not just your soul, but your physical body.
That's super amazing. So I think you covered on the mind that it does. I'd love to know what in terms of body.
In terms of body, it's a nervous system depressant, so it actually helps your nervous system to calm down. So when it does that, and central nervous system in the brain, and our body is full of nerves, so you immediately begin to relax everywhere. It's an anti-inflammatory. There's tons of flavonoids, antioxidants, all these compounds which are helping different organs, helping different parts of your body.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like the top two, you said oxytocin, right?
No, antioxidants.
Okay, antioxidants.
Yeah, no, there's two specific compounds in the Blue Lotus, which is aporphine and luciferin. These two act on balancing the dopamine, serotonin receptors in your brain. So what that means is the difference between having an ayahuasca experience, a mushroom experience, all these psychedelic experiences, they go directly to your receptors and they basically play around with them.
Okay.
And then you start to see things and you start to hallucinate or go on a trip. With the Blue Lotus, it actually harmonizes with its compounds your receptors without directly affecting it. You understand? It's like a homeostasis of your nervous system, your brain, your physical body. And when that starts to happen, you start to feel elevated in your soul, in your spiritual energy, in your heart, in your emotions.
Wow, this is super amazing. I think this is one of a kind. Yeah, because a lot of people, they use external modalities to reach on a certain consciousness, but the way you told me about this is super amazing because it mixes and then does its work very nicely in a very soothing way and not just take you on a trip somewhere.
Exactly, which is my constant message of the Blue Lotus, is that it's not an overwhelming plant. It doesn't take over, it supports you in the most beautiful, gentle way. And compared to people who you meet these days who have experiences either on their own or they go trips to Peru, Mexico, wherever it is, they're always overwhelmed by the experience, always taken by this plant medicine that they take. Whereas the Blue Lotus, you're actually in the conscious awareness of what you're experiencing by it expanding your energy, expanding your consciousness, activating the pineal gland. And then that's basically your third eye.
So it's just like doing meditation and reaching that height,
Yes.
just as that is
Yes.
Blue Lotus.
Yes. There is one thing to it, which is with meditation, you can always achieve a sense of a state of where you can elevate yourself in, right? With the Blue Lotus, it's like one of my very first experiences was you can take a jet plane to the highest meditation state in that present moment with the Blue Lotus. And so what happens is that when you reach that level and you come down from that, you understand what it is to be there without having to sit down and be like, okay, I'm meditating, I'm supposed to be somewhere, I'm not really sure if this meditation is this like this and like that. So when you supplement the Blue Lotus, what it actually does in the meditation practice is that it takes you higher, faster, smoother in a way where you're just there without even knowing that you're there.
Wow.
And then when you come down from it, you're like, oh, that's what meditation takes me to.
Wow, that is so amazing. Talking about reaching that height, I really would love to experience that so that during our conversation we all
Yeah, true. And
Yes.
you know, this is the beauty with the plant, and this is why the analogy of like, look at the Blue Lotus flower. Look at how it's growing.
Wow.
And in yogic philosophy and in Buddhist philosophy, they're always talking about how if there's no mud, there's no lotus.
Yeah.
And mud is also representing the human dimension, the challenges that we go through in perceiving and like pushing ourselves to break through the mud, to get into the air, to then blossom.
Wow.
And so if you take the lotus plant, there is no compounds in the roots, there's no compounds in the stem, there's only compounds in the flower. And that just shows that it's gone through all of that to the air.
But still blossoming.
To blossom. And just for a few days, 3 to 4 days, and then it just closes, goes back into the water, and it starts to like disintegrate, rot, and another one at the same time is coming up from the plant to the air. And it's a constant cycle. Every 3-4 days, one is going down, another one's
It's
going
going
up.
up. Wow,
Yeah.
that's such a beautiful process. I think a lot of people have heard, but it's the first time very well explained from you, and they can imagine.
Yes.
So this is amazing.
I think this is after many years of my constant explanation and educating people on the Blue Lotus, but also how we talked about the experimentation. This is the only way a true facilitator, ceremonialist, and alchemist can truly provide their
Value.
value of what they're serving is by doing it themselves. And once you understand how you do it for yourself, and this is also not just for plants, it could be anything that you offer. You know, I also do spiritual mentorship, self-love coaching, and I had to go through giving my own self-love to myself before I start offering that, because I can't go around doing that to other people when I haven't done the true work and experience. And plant medicine is the same, or just plants, herbal, supportive, pure plants, which is like the Blue Lotus.
I'd love to know from this experiment journey, what was something unique or very fascinating that you were surprised by? You know, because of course there were like n number of experiments, but what was
I think the biggest foundation in this journey with the Blue Lotus was I was a yogi, and at the same time I was I was doing a lot of online coaching at that point. And I did not believe in having supportive herbs, plant medicine, plants of any kind. I didn't believe this is something that you need. You know, it's just your practice, you meditate, you need your mindset to be set straight, and this is how you bring peace and harmony, and this is how you go through your emotions, this is how you resolve your emotions. So I was very anti. People who told me had experiences and they had their journeys and ceremonies, anyone who said ceremony, I would be like, this is
but that's
this
tough.
person's too much. You know?
I don't think so, because today's day and age in the spiritual world, if people don't take these ceremonies, it means that they're not into spiritual
Exactly,
world.
and now it's the opposite. Now, this was, 7-8 years ago. Now it's the opposite, where everyone think they are more spiritual. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people start to think they're more spiritual by doing these ceremonies instead of having a practice, having a meditation, and they think that is not so spiritual. You need to say, oh, I have done this, oh, I have done that. I went to Peru, I went to Mexico, I've gone to the Amazon. And so for me, I was very anti that. And what happened was, when I started being called by the Blue Lotus and started to experience the first true ceremony for myself, I made a ceremony for myself with a very strong extract of the Blue Lotus. And what happened to me then, the next day I woke up and everything changed.
Wow.
My whole attitude towards what I was alchemizing, what I was making, because until that point I had really no idea what I was actually doing. But when I did it, when I did that ceremony, the next day everything became clear.
And how many ceremonies did you take before that to reach that?
0. Like I had 0 ceremonies with anyone. One? That was the first one I had for myself.
Wow.
I've never done anything else before. Nothing.
Wow.
And people have invited me. I remember once I was in Mexico, and a lot of people have been talking to me about ayahuasca for more than 10 years now, almost 13, 15 years I've heard ayahuasca. And I was in Mexico with people, and someone mentioned to me like, hey, we have a ceremony tomorrow, come join ayahuasca. And I said, no. I said, I'm okay. It was in my face, and I was still like, no, I'm okay. I'm good where I am. I don't need any of this. So when I did my first Blue Lotus ceremony, I had no experience of any of that. And it stayed like that for a very long time, because I kept having Blue Lotus ceremonies for myself, and every time I had one, I had more like mind-blasting insights.
Wow, that is super amazing. That's super great. Talking about that would be lovely to share this with you, and we sip in through when we talk. Would be amazing.
Yeah, that'll be amazing. I've soaked and steeped the flowers in, just a little bit, not boiling water.
Okay. And does it need a specific temperature?
Yeah, I don't like to put super boiling water because it brings out the bitterness. And if you just put 80 degrees, 70 to 80 degrees, and just give it, you treat it gently. And just like anything in life, you treat it gently, you get the sweetness out of it.
Exactly.
And the Blue Lotus is one of that.
Just like you treat any person.
Exactly. The same thing. And with the tea, it's not as strong as what you receive in terms of the compounds and the effects, because water is a very weak extraction method to actually get the full benefits of the Blue Lotus.
And does it need certain kind of water, or?
Just normal water.
Okay.
Yeah, just normal water. And if you want to experience more of like what I was talking about, this is where you need to go more into deeper like alchemy knowledge, how to handle the flower, what kind of compounds, what do you need to add to really pull out the compounds, and how many flowers you need. For example, I have this bottle which I make myself, and I alchemize the Blue Lotus, and I use this bag.
Wow.
And this bag will probably produce around 20 to 30 bottles of that size only.
20 to 30 bottles of this.
Yeah, this is half a kilo of, and you can just open this and have a smell,
For
and
sure.
you'll know what I really.
Guys, this is Blue Lotus.
When I talk about how the smell is so fragrant, and you can just
And
literally.
This is sourced from?
This is sourced from like several places in Asia at the moment. Yeah, and you can like feel the flower as well, and just.
Wow. I can really feel the smell.
It's unlike anything else now. It's not like rose or jasmine. It's just like a whole, like it goes to your senses immediately. And that's why in ancient Egypt, when you see the temples, the pyramids and tombs, you always see a priestess or a pharaoh holding a blue lotus flower towards a god or a goddess.
Yes, I've
in
seen
the
that.
drawings. Because of the smell, but also because of its power.
Indeed, it's very powerful. Just the essence of smelling it. Wow.
It's alone. It's like
Yeah.
it's like an activation by
Exactly.
itself. Yeah.
Wow. This is amazing. And we're talking about the sourcing. People would love to know, for example, where is it grown? Which parts is it
Right
coming
now,
from?
it's grown in different areas like India, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia.
Nice.
Any place that's actually actively planting them
Okay.
in the tropics.
Okay.
I would say in the more colder climates, it just cannot survive.
Okay.
It needs a nice warmish and a lot of sun. The more sun, the better.
What about Dubai? Is it a good place too?
I found, actually, there was one resort where I found they had 2 or 3 plants.
Wow, no way.
Yeah, it's in the shade and they have continuous cold water going through it. I don't know how long they could live for
But yeah.
because they looked new, but it is possible. Just the lotus used to grow in the Nile because of the water source. And so what happened is after thousands of years of like not following tradition through Christianity, through Islam, and so many of these ancient Egyptian cultures just started to like die away. And at one point they blocked the water source with a dam, and so the Nile River would stop flooding.
Oh my God.
So then there was nothing left.
Okay.
But what I understand now is that there are people in Egypt starting to grow the blue lotus again as their like ancient
Wow.
heritage.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is
That's
amazing. It is exciting. It is.
And how do you like drink this? Is there in a specific way or is just
It's like I always, say, just have a slight intention
that's
Just-
a nice one.
just before you sip. It could be anything. It could be like, I am going to have a beautiful day today and I want to experience joy. And you just
The best interview ever.
have a sip.
Yes. Nice.
Yeah.
Amazing. The taste is great. It's unique. Like I haven't had such tea because I feel the taste is different, just like the smell.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you said alchemize, what does this exactly mean?
So in alchemy, true alchemy, there are certain stages and frameworks to work with when you extract compounds or when you want to intensify the core soul, spirit of the plant.
Okay.
And so with Blue Lotus, when I say alchemize, people think a lot about a laboratory,
Exactly.
which is kind of true, but it's not like white coats and I'm, all
Because
the
everyone is imagining you in that. I was alchemizing.
time. That happens.
Oh, really?
That does happen, but people think there's like smoke everywhere, and the truth is, with alchemy, it's about understanding how to bring the soul of, in this case, the flower,
To the maximum.
to the maximum, but keep it fully integrated with its entire spirit into the bottle.
But that's so tough to reach that particular point, doesn't it?
Yeah, yes and no. If you have an attunement or you start attuning to the plant, you start to begin to notice what works and what doesn't with just the vibration, the frequency.
Wow.
So in my early days, I had a very basic foundation of what I was alchemized. Be a lot of alcohol, flowers, different things, mix them together, put in a bottle, and I say, this is my formula. From the first bottle to where I am now, I've also educated myself so much in just like chemistry, in alchemy, traditional ways, spagyric ways, in all like modern, neo, ancient, and every time I try something and I taste it and I take it in, I know immediately, is this working for the highest good of the plant or is it not?
Wow.
To give you an example, which is like I've had friends who have gone to places like Amsterdam and found extracts. And when they tried it, they were like, oh my God, it tasted like ayahuasca. It was so like medicine, bitter, dark. And so what happens with these people, they make it strong, but by boiling, by killing compounds, by reducing it in a way where the soul of the plant doesn't exist anymore. And so we need to bring that, that's when I say alchemy. It's like alchemizing the plant, bringing the soul into the final product.
Wow, this is amazing. Wow, very fascinating to me.
Where are you at now? Where's your brain?
The
Where's your brain capacity?
I mean, it's not even here because I want to know the story about why did it come to you. We know that you told me about the other things, but I want to know why and how.
I'll give you a short snippet.
No, it's
And the short snippet is the realization came after the first ceremony I had for myself.
how did you reach there?
When I took a very strong Blue Lotus extract for myself, the Blue Lotus, one of its powers is, or one of its main foundational powers, is that it opens up what I call the Lotus portal. The Blue Lotus portal is the stepping through into the astral realm. Are you familiar with the astral realm?
Let's go about it.
So the astral realm
Yeah.
is, we have the human dimension here, right?
Yeah.
The 3D, 4D, then there is 5D and above. Astral realm is, let's say, 9D, 12D. It is when you step into that, when your soul consciousness steps into that, nothing kind of makes sense. Nothing kind of like, your mind cannot understand what's happening here. You can see visions of all kinds, past, present, future, buildings, civilizations, stars, galaxies.
Wow.
Think of it as in, what's that famous movie called?
Avengers. This.
No, in the space, what's it called? With
In the space.
the spaceship. Come on, be with me here.
I'm with
Where
you.
the Interstellar.
Interstellar, because
Have
these are the movies you
Yes.
know that I'm like, okay.
Do you know Interstellar?
Yeah. Of
Do you
course.
remember there's a scene where towards the end he's kind of out of time and space
Okay.
and he's looking at himself in the past?
Past. Okay.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of a part of where the Blue Lotus takes you. It takes you out of time and space of this dimension.
Wow.
And you step into basically the infiniteness of everything. You step into the infinite consciousness, right? What I call divine consciousness.
Divine question.
So when you connect to that,
Yeah.
and in ceremony, you put your intention, as you do with your drink or with the drops, you allow yourself to receive the transmission, the message, or the sight, or the vision
Easily.
that you want to see. Yeah.
And it can be faster, easier.
Yeah. So in my first ceremony, I was almost speaking to the lotus, telling it like, okay, tell me why you are here. Why are you in my life? Because at that point, it's been like 4 months.
4 months.
I'm alchemizing, I'm just going with the plan. But why are you here? Tell me. And I had it at night because it, it does make you kind of sleepy. And when you go to sleep, you're not really sleeping. You're in a semi-conscious state. You're not really here.
Yeah.
You're not really there. You're somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
And when I was in that state, I began to see where my roots, first beginning roots of why the lotus was in my life. And to cut the story very short, because it's a very long story, this is not the first time I'm dealing with the Blue Lotus. I've dealt with it in my past life. And I saw that in my past life. Multiple times from that time.
Wow.
In different situations. And when I saw that, I embodied and took the energy of that past life me into present life me. And that's when I was telling you, when I woke up the next day, everything changed because a part of me from the past came to the present. And I started really embodying what it means to be a holder or facilitator, ceremonialist for the Blue Lotus.
This is quite fascinating because when you say you took the energy, I have seen movies, some of them, and which of course they can see their past lives, and it's quite association they can get. But if we are talking about the energy, how did you get that energy? Like it's tough to.
I was, listening to, I think, Joe Dispenza. He was saying about how we have infinite parallel realities.
That's true.
And we have infinite parallel lives.
Yeah.
And all these lives of us are living in those dimensions.
So true. As we talk now.
And we can access those dimensions and take the best out of each life that we are in.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And this has no, the same with past life. We can go into our past life and learn and take what we had then into the present moment. The tricky part is when people start to believe that where they should be now is where they were in their past life, which is not. If you were whatever you were in the past life, that's what you were then. But you can still take the codes, the transmissions, the energy of back then into the present moment.
Wow, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So it's just like hypnotherapy as well, because when you hypnotize, you can also be somewhere else.
You can, yeah. There's past life regression as well, and certain modalities which take you deep into the subconscious, but also activate, whether it's in your genes, in your DNA, in your energy, no one can really say for sure. It can activate something to which you can start to see parts of you in different timelines, whether it's in this life or other life. And what the Blue Lotus does is that it shows you everything,
Wow.
if you ask for it.
You just have to set the intention.
You have to be with intention, yeah. Because it's not an overwhelming plant.
Yeah.
You have to be with it
Be with it.
for it to show you.
Wow. Right now, very many people feel disconnected and from themselves. So like, how do we bring back to their essence through Blue Lotus ceremonies?
This is where meditation and Blue Lotus come together to provide introspection and deep self-reflection. A lot of people have trouble meditating. A lot of people have trouble just sitting still. They think they have to wear something, listen to something, do something, chant something, and they miss the point. They try it once or twice and they're like, what's this meditation?
Exactly.
What are people doing? I don't understand this. Or maybe they meditate and they say, I don't really find anything beneficial for me. Introducing the Blue Lotus into what I've learned from my yogic past, into my coaching, into my mentoring, has now become almost the circling factor into putting everything together. As you were in my ceremony some time ago,
Yes.
guiding you through a meditation, a visualization, people can begin through the compounds, the energy, the frequency of the Blue Lotus, can begin to actually sit in meditation
Wow.
and actually begin to tune into where they are within themselves without any overwhelming experience, without just simply sitting, drinking, tuning in.
Wow, that is amazing. That's amazing. So what about dreams? Does it help us make lucid dream?
It's all about lucid dreaming. So the astral realm, the astral world, the dimension, however you want to call it, is most accessible in our dream state.
Yeah.
So when we are dreaming, we're actually tapping into the astral, divine, infinite consciousness.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just our subconscious, it's everything, right?
Yeah.
This is how you can dream of other people and know things about them, and you can get messages from just different things that could happen. Or with the Blue Lotus, you can actually process your emotions, your memories in your dreams by allowing you to lucid dream in the infinite consciousness of the astral dimension. And what that means is when you take Blue Lotus before you sleep and you set your intention, you say, today, tonight, I want to see, understand, why is this happening to me? Is there a pattern? Is there a cycle? In your dream, there could be a message that shows up, a vision, a situation, where when you are lucid dreaming, and in lucid dreams, you're in control of your dream,
Yeah.
then you can actually be almost like the manager, the director
Director.
of the infinite consciousness.
Yeah.
And with just, I've done it myself, where you can just swipe your hand, you say like, I don't want to see this, I want to see something else, show me that one. Okay, all right.
Just
You know,
like
it's
a
like you're
Netflix.
scrolling, yeah, it's like you're scrolling. It's like, yes, yes, no, aha, okay, what is this? Show me what's here. And you can tap into that. And then you can start to receive your message into what is it that you need to
Hear,
hear.
see, meet.
It's all these words, but none of it is happening, right? You're not hearing in your dream, not really seeing in your dream, it's just in your dream world. It's just in the infinite world, right?
Because like for me personally, if I'm dreaming, before I used to get a lot of dreams. Right now, I just sleep, I sleep. I don't get any dreams. So maybe if I have Blue Lotus and then I set an intention on, for example, on guiding me through life circumstances, it will do so.
So I will just share, this could inspire you. One of my first ever ceremonies years ago, I had a man in the ceremony and we bumped into each other a few days later, and he came to me and he said, by the way, I just want to let you know, I never see colors in my dream.
Okay.
And after your ceremony, I start to see colors in my dream.
Wow. Wow.
And things started to change for him. And it's the same with everybody. A lot of people who sit in ceremony with me say one particular phrase, which is, oh, I'm blocked. I don't know how to see things. I don't know how to visualize something. I don't know how to imagine something. And when you give them the Blue Lotus, it actually unblocks
Chemicals.
this part of your brain,
Yeah.
which you can, creativity comes up, expansion comes up, and then you start to go more deeper into like, oh, this is possible.
Exactly.
And so people who sit in ceremony, who take the Blue Lotus in an effective way, in the drops or alchemical form, when they take it and they say these phrases, these sentences and these limiting beliefs, suddenly things begin to open. And it's the same with dreams. You can start dreaming again, and you go into your lucid dreaming with practice over time.
Of course. So guys, this is amazing. This is not some magic. This is reality where you can literally experience everything, and everything
Totally.
is
It's not
amazing.
woo-woo. There is lots of scientific research on the compounds
exactly.
in isolated forms.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of research on as much as psilocybin, which is in mushrooms, and in ayahuasca, and things like that, where they have controlled studies of many different outcomes. Whereas they've isolated the compounds of the Blue Lotus and they've tested it and they know exactly what it does. So can you imagine on a whole different level with all the compounds in a pure alchemical spirit form, which is still lacking in modern day research, but with the hundreds up to 1,000 people that I've served, all that testimonials, all that client feedback has given me a wealth of knowledge, of understanding how the Blue Lotus can work. And people ask me, what does it do? And now I just say everything. It works.
Yeah, that's so true.
It works on everything. Everything possible. In the most gentle, beautiful way.
Amazing. So I think we got some wild feedback about your client's experience as well. You told me one of them before, right? That he couldn't see the colors in his dreams, but he could see as well.
Yeah.
That's super amazing. I would like
amazing.
to highlight on that, because the ones who are watching this, and especially for the ones who are in Dubai and they have the intention to experience so much, but they can't, and anxiety, stress, so many things are keeping them so much down. I think you should contact Ali because the right person to do that. Yeah, that's super amazing. So coming on to the next question, what's the best way to prepare for a Blue Lotus ceremony?
Mental blocks are the biggest limiting factors anyone can have for any ceremony, but in specific for a Blue Lotus ceremony. And the reason why is that if you come in with expectations, if you come in with a very rigid belief system, when you come to take the Blue Lotus, she won't show up for you.
And why that she?
For me, it embodies the feminine essence of a goddess called Isis in ancient Egypt. And at the same time, just like Shiva in Hinduism is masculine and feminine, this plant is also feminine and masculine.
At the same time?
Yeah, because when you take a very strong extract of the Blue Lotus, you can feel the super rising, elevating energy that goes straight up through the crown. And it's like we going to do this energy, right? And just like mothers who can be feminine and give birth and have children and open up their emotions and hearts to the world, to their family, they're also very masculine energy in making sure that the children don't get hurt, that they get taught well, that they have everything in order for the safety of their grown-ups, right? Of them growing up.
Exactly.
And that is how I feel the Blue Lotus is. It will give you that strength to elevate your spirit, but at the same time in a soft, beautiful, harmonious way. And this is where you don't get overwhelmed. And this is why the mental blocks have to be worked upon before the ceremony, meaning just having the awareness of maybe you're saying, I don't think this will work. I don't know what this is. I don't have faith in this. I don't trust this. This is boo-boo. This is woo-woo. This is blah, blah, blah. Then you might not even experience any benefits on a more emotional, mental level. On a physical level, you'll still be getting the compounds. It will still do something to you.
Exactly. Very, very good point, because I think generally because right now people, as they're entering the spiritual realm, very many activities they are doing, but the mindset is still with this mental block that they really should come open-minded, and then they can experience anything and everything from there.
I have had people sit in ceremony where they've had only just a sip of the entire glass that I serve, and that was enough for them to open up on a massive scale.
Wow.
And I've had people who have drank multiple cups, and they said, oh, it was good, but I don't really, it was nice. Can't really say anything. And the only difference is that one was more open than the other. One was more open to receiving, to the guidance, to being shown where they're at, where they want to see, what they want to see, than the other person who was more in a trying to control.
Or maybe also this ceremony was not the time she wanted to prove them this, and it should be maybe the n number of time that they will have the experience as well.
I've always had one person or another in a ceremony where they couldn't really say they experienced something. And it's just accepting the fact that for whatever reason, they still were graced by the medicine. They were still graced by the Blue Lotus and the energy and the frequency of the Blue Lotus. And somehow, some way, they are opening up, but they just don't know how through their mind. They don't know how to judge the experience, especially for people who have taken too many ceremonies of many psychedelic natures. They talk and expect a lot about, ooh, what's going to happen now? Yeah. And then when actually it's not about exploding so much, it's about actually going in, that's where the expectations can block the experience and the benefits of what you get in the ceremony.
Wow, amazing. What about the relationship? For example, me and my girlfriend, we have some issues and all of that, and we come up to you, for example.
Yeah.
Do you think this can help? Because as a person, of course, you have told me experiences, but what about in terms of two people?
So I also promote Blue Lotus as a partnership relationship practice supplement, meaning that when you take Blue Lotus, it allows you to be in the center of you. It allows you to harmonize your emotions so you don't get so triggered by your partner. Mm-hmm. And also, it allows you to almost have this sense of time is slowing down. Remember earlier I told you like time and space almost don't exist.
Oh yeah.
You know, under the strong influence of Blue Lotus, if you take a strong dose. And with partnership, it allows you to be very focused. And when you look at them, you can see them.
Through them.
You can see like you're just fully with them. And you've taken some of the drops.
As I can see you, I was going to tell you.
Exactly. You've taken some of the drops before we started and you're drinking the tea. Are you feeling like you're looking at me and I'm almost in portrait mode?
I'll tell you, yeah. I was going to tell you. I can see you and behind is blur.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? And this is not, you can still see the background, but when you look at me, your focus is so directed, so clear, so pinpointed in a very, almost I call it third eye opening way, that you're fully present with what you're doing. Yeah. And so with the relationship, with partnership, with yourself, with your meditation, practice, creativity, this enhanced, almost expanded focus and clarity comes into play.
Wow.
So then you can really feel with your partner what's happening, what they're saying. You take the time, you don't interrupt them, you don't block them. It's not easy to get angry because the Blue Lotus, if when the emotions come up, they don't come up so like, they just come, rise a little bit, and maybe just get purified by the energy.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So it can help a single person as well and multiple people as well.
Yes.
That's super good.
Yeah.
What about, for example, I think this is best for someone to become the best athlete in the world, the best swimmer in the world. Anything if you want to be the best in the world, I think, as you told, it brings immense clarity and focus. So I think this for some person like that is must and essential.
In that way, I wouldn't advise it before a workout because it's actually making you calm and relax.
Okay.
But what you can use it for is for your sleep. If workouts, athleticism, anything to do with movement that is high intensity, for your sleep, or early in the morning or way before your practice, where you can tune in and visualize yourself winning, visualize yourself achieving, and open up the channels to seeing yourself really be in that moment through the Blue Lotus support.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And how many ceremonies have you had in Dubai by far?
In Dubai, around 4 or 5 at the moment.
Okay.
And it's a lot of educating. Coming from one place to another, especially here, probably have met I've probably spoken more than 200 times in person to separate individuals about Blue Lotus. And I think only 7 to 10 people knew what the Blue Lotus is. So every time I meet someone, it's a whole new introduction. It's a whole
Same
new
like me.
explanation.
When you told me, I was like,
it's this entire talk that we're having now is the same. And I've come to shorten it in 2-3 sentences. I say, it expands your consciousness, activates your third eye, relaxes your nervous system. You'll have the best sleep, lucid dreaming, you're good to go. But when we start to really go deep into it, you can see here, there's just so much information, A lot of this information, which there's so much more I can share about from client testimonials, feedback, ceremony settings, which you'll never find online.
so true.
It is everything that's first-hand experience. And also by alchemizing the flower, I learn everything I need to know about it. It's like when you start to learn how to cook, you get to know, this is where my ingredients are from. This is what happens if I do this, if I heat it too much, if I don't heat it, if I grill it, if I pan fry it. It's the same with the lotus flower. If I use alcohol, if I use glycerin, if I put it here, if I put boiling, if I not boiling, if I evaporate, everything will impact the spirit, the compounds of the Blue Lotus flower.
Wow, that's super amazing. And coming to the liquid that you prepared, would love to show the audience how do you use it and how to do all of that.
Yeah, so it's a tincture form, and the tincture form is using alcohol-based. I have glycerin extractions as well, which is more of a sweet nature. The only thing with glycerin is that it doesn't extract as much as alcohol does, right? And it's only for people who are sensitive or just have beliefs about not having zero alcohol. Then that's okay. They can also put it in hot water and the alcohol will evaporate. So we've done this before, so I'll go straight to you.
Amazing.
And it's just about having a slight intention before you take the drops and under the tongue. And you hold it for 10 to 30 seconds, just kind of having it in your mouth so the alcohol can really go through the membranes straight into the brain.
Not down, but then up.
You can swallow it down, but if you hold it longer in your mouth, it actually, through the mucous membranes, it actually bypasses and goes immediately into the blood-brain barrier, straight into the center.
Such a nice information you give right
now. So
this
is why it's very important to hold it as long as you can. You can't take it directly; it will take longer to kick in.
Makes sense.
But when you hold it, it really has the power.
Amazing.
And you only need I've had clients who've had 3 drops for an activation. I've had clients who need 20 drops for an activation. And it's all about where you are, how open your channels are. Are you in the field of opening up? Do you have experience? All of these factors. What is the time of day? Did you eat? Did you have coffee? All of these things will impact the Blue Lotus. And the perfect setting is always fasting state, calm and relaxed.
Okay.
Not so much happening around you.
Exactly.
And just being with it. It's like I had one client tell me, oh, I took your Lotus and nothing really happened. I said, what did you do? He's like, oh, I took it. He's like, I was working in a cafe.
Yeah.
I took it.
Yeah.
And I put my headphones on. I played some music for 5 minutes. And I couldn't really focus because I was expecting a call. And then the call came in, I answered my call. And he's like, and then after the call, I ended the call. And I didn't really feel anything.
Maybe you should have asked him that how focused were you on the call?
Exactly.
Because you can ask me now after taking this. It's,
exactly right. So I told him, I said, hey, okay, don't be in a cafe, be at home. Don't be expecting a call. Don't be working. Just be with yourself. Tune into it in a setting where you feel very nice, calm, and relaxed. And there's no distractions. Because the moment a distraction happens, you're taken away. And this is why in my ceremonies, it's so important even to how much light, where the candles are. Because even the candle light starts to become so intense to the senses of the opening. And so you want to be in a setting where everything's easy, calm, and comfortable. And just sit there and tune in.
Yeah, I'd love to highlight on the part because I came to your ceremony and it was magical.
Thank
because you, as you're telling me, the candles, the lighting, everything was perfect, but also taken care of. You knew that this has to be here, this has to be there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Every factor. There were blinds which I had to put down, how the mats were arranged, so that where the mind has zero distraction to play with. And the Blue Lotus cuts off the thinking mind. It stops your mind from overthinking. That's how it stops all this anxiety and stress to come out. And so what happens is that you're able to be in an awake, aware meditation.
Awake, aware.
And in that space, you are experiencing what true presence is. Because now these days, a lot of people say, oh, I'm present, presence. Presence is being with something, with someone, with absolute zero distraction, thoughts of anything else. That is true presence. And when you can have that presence, your entire soul is like occupying the space, right? Your energy is like, it's coming out.
And I wanted to ask you, is it 100% possible to be in that state?
It is 100% when you are in flow state. When you're in flow state and you're working on something, you're creating something in that state, when you're in your ultimate inner joy, your ultimate inner expression of self, you are in that state. So eventually, whatever you're doing comes to an end, right? And then you have to eat, you have to do something, and then that might diminish a little, come down a little bit. But that state is possible, and you find people who, certain, just to touch upon swamis or gurus or powerful people, what they practice in is to always be in the state. To be always a transmission, a channel, but also anchored and present. And so they walk into a room and the first thing you notice is like, wow, who's this person? They're not sexy, they're not, it's nothing is there. It's just they walk in and you're like, you notice something's different with this person. How, right? They're in that state of anchoredness. And only when you anchor can you truly expand your energy.
Wow.
And this is why people who take too many ceremonies of too many other things,
it's tough.
they actually start going other places. Their energy starts to go outward instead of inward.
Okay, and for someone who's really lost right now and watching this and really wants themselves to be healed, What are some ways that they can do that?
Healing, in my personal way of approaching,
Yeah.
comes with the first step of acceptance.
So true. I believe.
When you come to accept what is your situation, whether your emotional situation, your financial situation, your business, your relationship, all of that plays a factor, a role in your life. And whatever area needs healing in, or needs, let's say, bettering in, improvement in, is a part of it telling you that there's a healing coming to light within yourself, right? If you're constantly cycling through bad relationships, something there needs to be healed, right? If you're cycling through failed businesses, something there needs to be healed. If you're attracting the worst kind of clients, something there needs to be healed, right? It doesn't matter, money's energy, right? And whatever you're attracting in that way, that's energy. And so if you're attracting energy towards you that you're noticing like, this isn't right. Why is this happening? There's two options from there. One is, it's their fault.
Exactly.
It's your fault. It's this fault. Yeah. Or it's my fault. I need to change something for myself so that stops happening.
So true.
Right? And when we step into that acceptance, the next door opens up, which is now you start opening up to what could be the solution. What do I need to change? What do I really need to change? And when you figure what you really need to change is, then it's like, okay, what to do about that? Like, how do I approach this? Do I meditate? Do I practice? Do I go to a ceremony? Do I get a guide, a coach, a mentor, and so on? But the first step is acceptance.
Yeah. Wow, this was interesting and amazing and quite fascinating, because all the people who are watching this are amazed by the experience and the wisdom that you gave through.
Thank you.
And I appreciate for you to be here. It was super amazing to have this conversation.
Thank you for having me here. That was
because
so
you opened up a different realm. Now
we're in it now. We're
exactly, and now I think everyone should hit that like, subscribe button if they want to experience all of this with you. And also, I'll put your handle here,
please.
So they can come and they can follow you as well with your journey.
I have so much information about the Blue Lotus which I can share, and also about my mentorship, my coaching. Everything's also integrated all together, and this is one of the things which was the theme of everything, was presence, meditation, stillness, centering is in many ways, whether it's the Blue Lotus, whether in mentorship and coaching or just practice, when you bring them all together. It comes always to the same point.
Yeah.
To be in healing, you have to come to presence.
So true. And with your expertise, I think it takes on another level. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Thank you so much.